this notion that, there were significant excesses, I can't say that that was proven. And what I know for sure, having examined the processes, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing, certainly not by the governor or any of the directors, or, any evidence of any collusion involving the various experts.
A few months ago, there had been concerns about the expenditure on the official residence for the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Of course, this is the official residence, so whomever occupies the position. Perhaps there had been more heat than light on this issue. Perhaps a lot of emotions came into it. With the passage of time, hopefully, there is more light to be placed on this issue. Was there any discussion on that? And if so, what's the latest? Thanks.
Well, yes, we would have held discussions on the issue. What we recognize in the first instance is that the bill of quantity that was done was flawed. And we noticed too that whereas the tendered process would have literally mandated that the lowest bid be accepted, at the end of the day, that bid was also flawed because the other three bids came in excess of $20 million. So, there were issues in terms of the lowest bid being a significant outlier. And we felt that perhaps that the quantity survey at the time should have picked up that particular anomaly. So one thing I can say for sure, there is no evidence of any malpractice by anyone who was responsible for monitoring this particular project. In fact, it went through all of the necessary procedures. For example, the bids went to tender and they were selected accordingly. Bids for the consultants, for the contractor, architect, and all of the procedures were followed. This particular project was managed primarily by the board of directors. As you know, the council itself and council members, we concentrate primarily on policy formulation. And the history of the operations of the council is such that it does not get involved in project management. So you did not have that regular, let's say, feeding of information to the council. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, the issue of the cost of construction of the governor's residence was never a formal item on the agenda. But we felt, however, that council members should have been kept informed via the directors, and that is where we felt that there was some weakness in terms of sharing information at the time. So there has been a series of recommendations that were made to strengthen the reporting mechanism and the overall governance of projects that may be pursued by the central bank in the near future. And there's also a requirement, for example, that any project in excess of $10 million that it should be fed up to the council, and they must get a no objection from the council before they pursue any such project. Now, the idea is not for the council to micromanage these projects. I mean, we expect that between the consultants that we employ and the board of directors and so on, that they have the competence to manage these projects. But at the same time, we are strengthening the reporting mechanisms, and at the same time to ensure that amounts in excess of $10 million that the council members should be kept up to date routinely. So one of the major outcomes out of this is that the governance framework will be strengthened. And whereas before, the information caught us somewhat flat-footed, in the future we should have the information. And I don't know that, if, for example, that we did not have a flawed bill of quantity, and the fact too that one of the bids clearly was outlier. I don't know that the building necessarily would have cost less than the $20+ million. So there's no evidence to suggest otherwise. I was also making the point to some of my colleagues, and as you know, I've operated within the construction and land development space for a number of years, and depending on the contractors, depending on the size of the property, depending on the quality of the property, and sometimes too depending on the means of the developer or the person who is literally constructing the property, the price varies. So there's no specific or fixed price. Take, for instance, you have some contractors who work on Jumbi Bay in Antigua, right here at PLH, and they will charge up to $1,500 US per square foot. But if they build a similar property for me or you, they probably charge us an EC. So I'm saying that to say that, this notion that, there were significant excesses, I can say that that was proven. And what I know for sure, having examined the processes, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing, certainly not by the governor or any of the directors, or, any evidence of any collusion involving the various experts.
Hi everyone, thanks for checking out the Bub Report's social media pages. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch our weekly live show, follow our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can catch repeat episodes on Wednesdays at 4 and 5 p.m. respectively on CRFM Radio and GBN TV in Grenada. We are also viewed on Sundays at 8 p.m. on WPG 10 throughout the Caribbean. Thanks for watching.